investigated, just like Guantanamo Bay was. As early as then, Guantanamo Bay was in the full swing, investigation, and I knew it was only a matter of time before Abu Ghraib, which was kind of like, Gitmo, the sequel to us there. So, it came as no surprise to me.
Was there any point within that time that you were there during the height of the abuses that people were starting to get tense, afraid they could be prosecuted?
Oh yeah, they were very tense, and that's what what really worried me also when I was called in, because they called everybody in for questioning, literally everybody, or everybody that they could anyway, and they had everyone come and fill out a basic questionnaire that would just basically ask, do you know of any abuse of detainees, yes or no? Do you know anything about photographs? And that was the first time I actually even knew there was photographs, or even, just by implication of the question.
When was that?
When I was questioned by CID.
And that was what month? And
that was January.
2004.
Right. And
it came out in the media in April, right, in the New Yorker and CBS. So,
right.
But yours is January 2004 that you're aware.
Right.
Had you seen the pictures?
No, very few people, I would say, had seen the pictures. Because that's the thing. I mean, everybody, knew about all the things that were being done to these people, but very few people knew about the pictures. But it became the pictures that became the focus of the investigation, and not what everybody else knew what was going on. But I started asking questions now that I knew there was photographs involved, and I started asking questions. And a staff sergeant told me that she had heard something sexual involved with detainees, and it was then I was like, wow, it's more, it's worse than I imagined, because they're actually taking pictures. And so I thought, I thought it was an interrogators thing, because I thought the investigation was going to uncover what the interrogators were doing, military and civilian, and that they wouldn't just set their sights on the MPs. But like I said, going back to the questionnaire, the problem with the questionnaire is if you just said no to all these questions, like, oh no, I didn't hear nothing, didn't hear anything, see anything, I didn't do anything, then the investigators wouldn't question you further. It was like, okay, no problem, next. I was one of the few people, that said, yeah, there's a problem. And I even said that I was glad there was an investigation being done. And, when they called me back, they made sure they let everybody know I was being called back. And immediately everybody assumed, either that I was in trouble myself, or that I was telling on people that were in trouble. And even then, I'm thinking, I might not leave here alive.
Were you ever directly threatened?
No.
Did you ever think of making a written complaint?
Yes, but I knew, I didn't have anything concrete. I didn't have anything to really, because the way the military handles a lot of investigations, however big or small, is to play a little mind game with perception, where they tell the soldier that in their mind that's what happened, but that's just their perception of events, and so it's not real. It's only real in their mind.
You wrote for Alternet, as an Army intelligence analyst, my job at Abu Ghraib was systems administrator, the computer guy, but I had the bad luck to be on the night shift. And so I saw the detainees dragged in for interrogation, heard the screams, saw many of them dragged out. When I heard the officer in charge of the interrogation torture operation at Abu Ghraib in late 2003 was being court-martialed, my first thought was, finally, an officer is being held accountable. Did you see detainees being dragged? Did you hear them screaming? Yeah,
at night, you never knew when or where you would see a lot of things. The interrogators told the investigation they only interrogated in, one of a few places, when in reality they interrogated them all over the place. And you would see them taking them in all sorts of directions, cuffed with their heads bagged. and you're just, wondering, okay, well, I wonder what that guy did, or I wonder what they're going to do to that guy, and it was just really depressing.
You say watching Act 1 of the faux trial of Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Jordan last week at Fort Meade, Maryland, confirmed my worst suspicions. I know Jordan. I was in place for his entire tenure at Abu Ghraib, including when prisoners were tortured. He was an immediate boss. What happened to him?
I think what happened with him, this is just my opinion, is what happened with Colonel Pappas. And that is essentially some sort of an agreement was made behind closed doors, where as long as he kept his mouth shut, didn't give any interviews, don't write any books, don't talk to anybody about what really happened, as long as he plays the game that's being set up for them, that they're going to get off scot-free. That's exactly what happened to Pappas. And Pappas and Jordan are two major bridges for everything that happened at that prison. Originally I was thinking they were going to hang Jordan out to dry because of all the negative comments made by Pappas and Taguba and everybody else, and just how shady his testimony was in those interviews for those investigations. And I was thinking that Jordan was going to get crucified, and that as a result he was going to tell everything that he knew and bring the whole house down. But instead, things were set up in such a way for him to, as long as he didn't pursue something like that and just kept his mouth shut, everything was going to be taken care of and no real charges were going to be made. And that's exactly what happened. Even before the trial started, most of the charges were dropped. And then the one charge that he was found guilty for, it really had nothing to do with the prison. It was just him disobeying General Fay.
And the conviction was dismissed against Jordan. This is Democracy Now! We're talking to former Army Sergeant and Abu Ghraib whistleblower Samuel Provance. We'll be back with him in a minute. Dax Johnson, ruler of one, here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we return to our interview with Abu Ghraib whistleblower Samuel Provance, I asked him to talk about what happened after the Abu Ghraib torture photos appeared in the New Yorker magazine and on 60 Minutes in April of 2004.
Right after, the photographs came out not long after we came back to Germany, and it was just, wow. I knew there was going to be an investigation, but I didn't know there was going to be, this global scandal. And it was just surreal to see the pictures on the news, 24/7 during that time, knowing that's exactly where I came from. And I already knew there was the Taguba investigation, which, was subsequently mysteriously leaked to the public, which actually revealed my name, which I never thought was going to be revealed. And then there was the General Fay. Suddenly I'm being told, you're going to go talk to this general up in Darmstadt. And, and this major was like, I can't tell you not to talk to the media, but I wouldn't talk to them, because this thing is probably going to be as big as my lie. And, so you need to go talk to this general up in Darmstadt. And it actually wasn't until I was being interviewed by him that I even knew who he was or what he was there for, and that there was another investigation. And originally it began as something. He was trying to get me to relax, and like, yeah, I'm a general, but it's no big deal, and really friendly guy. And then he just had simple questions and everything, but everything focused on just the MPs or the photographs. He only made mention of, and it seemed like he was actually trying to get Colonel Jordan on something. But every time I would try to talk to him about the things I was told by the interrogators and things, he didn't want to hear it. He only wanted to know basically the undeniable. And it wasn't until after pressuring him, that